Okay, this is Federal Reserve thugs.
The footage you're about to see should make the stomach churn, should make you nauseous if you love freedom. You know, people in third world countries, Soviet Russia, communist China, get treated like slaves by police and private security guards. They get told you're not allowed to film, you're not allowed to shoot video, government buildings. And now that's coming to the United States and England. In fact, in England, they passed a law saying it's an act of terrorism to film the police, even if they're beating somebody up. This is tyranny. The government puts their cameras everywhere, videotaping us, controlling our lives, but then we're bad.
Let me give a little bit of context here. I have some personal experience with this. I've had different places try to keep me from filming in public locations, and I've also looked into the legalities of recording because some states are two-party consent states. You can still film, but you have to film openly, if that makes sense. You can't like hidden footage people in some states. But actually, there are places, even in the United States, as of 2024, where you're not allowed to film the police, like, which is crazy to me. But there are some of it's at state level, some of it's at a more local level, and obviously, like, different places go into like legally battle that. But whatever your political values are, or whether you believe in what Alex Jones is saying, like, we should all have the right to. He's correct in that we should be able to always be able to film in public, and we should always be able to film the police.
If we videotape them. Now, I've seen footage on the internet of news reporters out front the Washington, D.C. Private Federal Reserve on the sidewalk, not on their property. And they come over and say, it's the law, turn your cameras off. Well, that happened in Kansas City. Aaron Dykes and Rob Jacobson were in Kansas City.
Sorry to pause again, but actually, in regard to like people being upset about filming in public, we're seeing this right now play out. There are some pro-Palestinian protest encampments on universities around the United States right now, and even though they're either on university property or they're on public property, they are not allowing people to come in and, well, I'm not gonna say they're not allowing it, but they're like getting really aggressive with people who try to come into those spaces and film, even if they're not inside the actual encampment. Like they'll try to block the view and stuff like that, which is their right to block the view, as long as you don't assault people or enter their personal space or whatever. But it's another instance where, like, no matter what your politics are, it seems like people don't want to have what they're doing shown, whether they're police officers or protesters trying to protect their identity or whatever. Like, I think if you're in a public place, whatever your reason for being there is, I don't think it's like inherently positive to be a protester, whether you're protesting the way Alex Jones does or the way these students are. Like, you should be able, if you're in a public space, like, you should respect other people's liberties. And trying to shut down people filming in public spaces is kind of ridiculous. It's really upsetting.
Interview a former federal regulator, Mr. Black, Professor Black, about the scams that are going on with the $12.8 trillion stolen by the private Federal Reserve this weekend. And on their way back to their hotel, they saw the regional Federal Reserve building and said, oh, there's the Federal Reserve. Let's pull up over there and let's shoot some video. So they're at a park about 150 yards away from the Federal Reserve, videotaping it. And the same private federal security guards and little Nazi outfits with the black belts come over and say, what's your names or we'll arrest you. No more Fifth Amendment. No law cited. They're not even cops. They don't even work for a federal agency. And then they say, now leave or we're going to arrest you. And you have to leave this park. We don't own it, but the Federal Reserve across the street is concerned about you. So we say, get off this park as well. This is what it is to be a slave. This is what it is to be a thug on their side. This is what it is for the people to be slaves. This is what it is for the system to live under this thuggish system. And I'm just sick of it, and I'm tired of it. And 38 locations across the country last year, we covered it in the Obama deception. People went out and protested the private Federal Reserve that took over in 1913 and gave us the private income tax. And we later got documents, the news confirmed, regular Army intelligence was there spying on us. And we also got the MIAC report with similar things, saying the in the Fed people are terrorists. No, we're American citizens. We have a right to protest you, a right to videotape you, a right to show people the private Federal Reserve that has stolen as much money as the U.S. GDP has in a year. GDP's 13 trillion. In 6 months, they've stolen 12.8 trillion. So they're on line to be double the GDP in a year. Right now, they're right at the GDP. So it's my right, First Amendment, freedom in America, to talk about you people, and it's my right to show footage of what you're doing and what the private Federal Reserve is. You people are out of your minds, thugs, and you think we're your slaves. You've stolen so much money from us, you bossed us around long enough, and you think we exist here to be sucked off of by you.
You think
the enemy of freedom is the Federal Reserve and the bankers. Now watch this film and spread the word that this is the criminals that run our country.
Hi, how you doing?
Officer Collis, how you doing today?
All right.
Good. We're just checking on you guys, see if you're affiliated with any organizations or what.
We're just
you're
individuals.
Fine. You're not doing anything wrong. The federal bank was concerned about you guys taking video of their building, so we just wanted to make sure to see what you were back to them.
I'm sorry?
We were just seeing who you were and what you're doing. What's your name?
My name's Aaron.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just
You're fine. You're not
we're just
doing
checking out
anything
this
wrong.
memorial, so
You're not doing anything wrong, okay? What's your last name, sir?
I'm not gonna give you my last name.
Then you guys can leave right now. If you're not going to cooperate, I'm just asking questions.
This is public property?
No, it's not actually.
Whose property is this?
So we're just asking you simple questions. If you can't cooperate, you need to leave.
Okay, but first of all, whose property is this?
The Liberty Memorial.
Okay.
Okay.
And
You're not doing anything
and you're
wrong,
police
but
officers or
someone-
security officers?
There's some protection officers here.
Uh-huh.
And because you're not cooperating, you need to go ahead and leave. I asked you a simple question. You're not doing anything wrong. You're videotaping. So,
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if this property is public property or not, and I absolutely believe that an authority would lie about that, hoping that you didn't know. I've had that happen to me before. I've had people tell me that I couldn't stand on the sidewalk when I clearly could. But if this is private property, like, unfortunately, I think you should be able to film at a place like this, you know, all you want to, because even if it isn't technically public property, like, this clearly belongs to the public. And I know that's how a lot of people view, like, the National Reserve, but I kind of understand why they wouldn't want you, like, recording in a way. But at the same time, like, if you're where they are, you're across the street or whatever, then I think you should be able to film. But at this memorial, I don't think there's no, like, security risks or whatever. There's no reason that people should be, you know, prevented from filming here. I think yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of heavy-handed. But again, they might be just people trying to test these people and see if they'll just leave instead of, like, you know, defending their right to be there. But they should have put the work in so that they knew, like, okay, here's where we can be and here's where we can't be. Like, whether you respect those laws or not, if they could potentially be enforced on you, you should at least be, like, aware of them.
Well, that's all we're just here to videotape,
Okay,
so.
thank you, and I
But I think they should
Okay.
be allowed to stay and film. I think this is pretty
Thank you.
ridiculous.
Yes.
Especially to be forced to leave a public monument.
Why do I have to leave?
Because you're with him.
And where's the property end?
Up there.
Well, if he gave his name, then he doesn't have to leave.
He did give his name, but
Okay.
it's kind of guilt by association. You guys need to go ahead and go.
What is guilt by association?
Guilty by
Sir, we're not going to answer
association.
any more questions. You can go to jail or you can leave.
Are you a police officer, sir?
We do have arrest powers. Do you want to go to jail?
Am I under arrest?
Yeah, I didn't think about that, but you're right. I mean, I fall into a naive mindset sometimes when I'm when I'm watching these, and I assume that, you know, the people actually believe what they're doing, but they absolutely could just be provoking them to get good footage, walk them right up to the line, and then, you know, because they're backing down. But you're right, it could be just them trying to see what they can get away with.
Arrest?
No, you're not under arrest. Not yet.
Which I
You
don't
need
think
to
there's
leave.
anything
You're
wrong with
encroaching
that.
on our First Amendment right.
No, we are not.
Why not? Is this public property? We have a right.
Go ahead and go. Now.
This is the death of America you're witnessing on this tape, and
That
it
guy
needs
with
to
the camera
stop.
right in his face.
And the little thugs that work at the Federal Reserve all over the country need to know that It's illegal what they're doing. It's a violation of civil rights, and people need to take legal action against them. And everybody needs to go out every day and videotape the private Federal Reserve and let those thugs know it's your right to videotape that federal building. If I'd have been there, I'd have let them arrest me. The problem is they would have probably tried to set us up. You got to know they're dangerous. We had New York police with We Are Change say their video camera was a gun and their backpack was a bomb. And they said, we know you're not really terrorists, but we're going to say you are. This whole war on terror is about making us slaves, where they put cameras in school bathrooms and cameras on the street corners reading our license plates, but we can't go sit on a sidewalk and videotape our private owners.
What's that?
You go through public affairs.
No, I'm just getting some security shots.
No, you need to go through public affairs for you to videotape or take pictures.
Of any federal building.
Well, and I noticed too, we're looking at Live Leak, and what we actually might be seeing here is just First Amendment auditing, right? I mean, this isn't the previous footage that we watched, not from Federal Reserve thugs, but the staged press conference was actual Infowars.com people. I don't think these are Infowars people. I think this is Alex Jones showing us Infowars footage, or showing us footage of these people on Infowars. So, like, I think especially Live Leak, which is notorious for First Amendment auditing, I bet we're just seeing First Amendment auditors, you know, do what they do, audit the process. That could be.
Federal building.
Because I was just at the Academy of Sciences.
I don't care, Captain. This is Federal Reserve. For you to take pictures or videotape, you just have to call Public Affairs. They set it up. You have a meeting. They tell you what time to come out and take pictures. You take pictures all day long.
So I can't stand on the public sidewalk and take.
Okay, there we go. Now, I think he should be allowed to be on the sidewalk no matter what. But she is saying that if they contact, they can film formally. They could get permission to film formally, which is like some places make rules that, like, if your camera is on a tripod, you have to have permission to film. But if you're just walking around with a handheld, or if you have like a stationary part of your gear that's stationary, then you need to contact them and have permission. But if he's standing on the public sidewalk, should always be fair game.
Go across the street if you like, but they still gonna come over there and ask you questions if you stay too long.
So where am I allowed to shoot from?
You can't take pictures of a federal building, period.
And not even if I was a tourist, I couldn't even take a picture of the Capitol?
If you was a tourist and you went by and you snapped a picture, they're not gonna snatch your camera. But if you come up with something like that, they're gonna approach you and they're gonna ask you what you're doing. They're gonna ask you for ID, all that good stuff.
Huh.
Okay?
What if I was wearing like a press badge?
Now, if you did that, they're gonna ask you who's your contact person, because then you should have contacted Public Affairs.
The Fed, Public Affairs, or just like...
Public Affairs for the Federal Reserve.
So for every building I need to contact that
Yes,
Public
sir.
Affairs person?
Yes, sir.
Even just to shoot from the public sidewalk?
Yes, sir.
Huh. I did not know that.
Yes, sir.
Is that new?
No, it's always been like that. Now, there's tourists that come through here, snap a picture, and keep on going.
Yeah, and usually don't bother them.
No, as long as they take a picture and keep on going. But when you come up with a video camera
This
like
is
that,
stupid.
that's
This
when we
is-
come
I
out and
don't-
get
this
you.
is-
Because I've shot like tons of buildings. You're the first person to ever approach me.
They probably never paid attention to you. But this is the Federal Reserve. Okay?
Is that big or? What do you mean?
What do you mean? You don't know what the Federal Reserve is?
This is the federal. I mean,
Okay, who do you work for?
An American
Who
News
do you-
Project.
who
What
do
I
you
mean
work
is like
for?
I've shot
Okay.
the White House and the
Okay.
Capitol building.
And they never approached you.
No.
I can't even see
Or
that
the
being
Treasury
possible.
building. You know, standing there where all the public walks, just standing right there on the
Taking
sidewalk.
pictures.
You know, just
Okay.
getting some B-roll of Big Sur. I've never had anybody.
But no, in order for you to take pictures of this building or any kind of videotape, you have to go to Public Affairs.
Do you work? Are you Reserve Fed Security? Or are you DC Police or Federal Reserve Police?
Well, that's Federal Reserve thugs. I have to side with the people in the video on this. I think you should be able to film federal buildings. I think you should certainly be able to film anything you want from a public space or public sidewalk. I got to agree with Alex Jones. That was tyranny, folks. Tyranny in the police state.